And what I'd like to know is what are we looking what are we looking at here?
Well, here the first colorful iPod, iPhone, and iPad Juicies cables in the world. I've manufactured these as samples, and these are cables for your iPod, iPhone, and iPad. They let you charge and sync your data.
Sure, like I can buy at the Apple Store.
Like you can buy in the Apple Store. Yeah, when you go to the Apple Store, you actually are most likely to find this one here.
Yeah, which is what, about $30?
Which is $19.
Oh, okay.
MSRP of 19 in the United States, MSRP of 19 euros in Europe, and MSRP of 19 Great British Pounds in
Also, it's much cheaper here. This is
in comparison.
This is the bargain.
$26 in comparison in Europe, and 29 I think right now comparison in the UK when you add it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So
amazing how the euro just inflates all over you.
yeah.
So the last time I heard it was 141 for a euro.
Is that right? Yeah.
So it'd be more than $26.
I guess even more now. Yeah, yeah. So I guess it goes up and down.
Okay, so you're manufacturing something that looks just like what Apple is selling, and ostensibly has exactly the same functionality, but it is in a different color. And you do this in your apartment in Makiki?
I personally live in Kaimuki, close to Diamond Head, but I actually do this at the same factory that Apple does these.
Which is in China.
Which is in China, correct?
How did you find it? Doesn't Apple keep these things secret, at least discretionary?
Well, when you look at it closely, actually, you might even find it on this cable. It will say something as designed by Apple in California, assembled in China. So these things here are
but no,
designed in Honolulu, Hawaii.
How did you find the factory? This is
Actually, it's very, very easy things. You just go on Wikipedia, and it calls it iPod City, which is Foxconn, straight in Shenzhen.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to get in touch with them. I'm not actually manufacturing this at Foxconn. Foxconn makes most of the hardware, like the laptops, those type of things. Now the cables.
Foxconn was where the suicides were, huh?
And are probably too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to manufacture anything there. That's correct.
Yeah.
So what I'm working on actually, and what sets me apart, what sets Juicies apart from these guys here, is several things. Number one, obviously, they have a different color.
I noticed that.
Right.
And since we're using color today, it should be visible to everyone.
Yeah. So here's a pink
It's
one.
going to be a very colorful
for the girls
show,
out there.
as a matter of fact.
Orange for all our Dutch friends. Blue for the Pacific Ocean. Green brings me to a different topic. Mm-hmm. My cables, Juicies cables, are different in a way, besides having different colors, that these are actually manufactured from a more sustainable ingredient list.
Just a second. So I want you to say that one more time because I forgot to turn the timer on.
Oh, that's okay.
We got so excited there at the beginning.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, timer is on. Now let's repeat the beginning of that sentence. Why is it green?
Well, how about why is it different? Different in different colors, but green. The sustainability aspect comes into play when you look at the actual ingredients of the product. So there is really only a few ingredients here, a very simple product. I'm buying the 30-pin connector, the little metal part here. I'm actually buying that from Apple. So this little 30-pin part cost me multiples of what the whole production cost me off on each unit. But I'm getting a certified version from Apple directly, and I know it's not going to catch fire or anything. Mm-hmm. Now, the other parts here, the little plastic housing and the cable itself, what we're doing is we're manufacturing the plastic housing from recycled plastic, and we're actually shooting for it now to make the cable part from a more sustainable version as well.
So the wire itself is your wire.
The wire itself is our wire. The interior of the wire itself is our wire. The USB part is our wire. In our USB part. Yeah. The thing that I'm buying from Apple is what they call the 30-pin connector.
Yeah, the
Apple 30-pin
proprietary connector.
That's correct. Yeah. So you can buy knockoffs for less than $1, or you can buy official Apple ones for
so you're
much more.
better off with this because this is the important part.
It is an important part because I am doing this the way that I would like to see it done if I would go and buy it myself. And if you look around, sometimes you notice products have these logos on it called Made for iPod, works with iPhone, or even the newer ones, Made for iPod, iPhone, and iPad. And that's what I'm going for.
Okay, so now I'm impressed that did you physically go to China to set this up?
Not this time around. I used to have a import company, and I had retail stores here in Hawaii and in Germany, where I actually would travel to China a lot. I had a warehouse in Beijing in the past, but
Is it all on your own account?
Yeah,
just you?
Yeah.
You know, it's adventurer.
My wife used to help out a lot, but then
Okay.
yeah, no, but mostly
Is she
me, yeah.
Chinese?
No, she's actually from Michigan.
Okay. So, I gotta, let me reel the tape back a little. I gotta know how you wound up with a warehouse in Beijing.
Okay, so I was born to parents that kind of hippied around, and I was born in Bali, Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was doing imports, mostly with jewelry and precious stones and gold, whatever, at that time. Family business at that time, so that I never really made it anywhere besides having a retail store in Germany, which was a good start, which basically put me in the position of having to run a whole retail store by myself when I was 14 years old. I was like, okay, Dad, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I'll be back in an hour. And then he comes back when it's closing time. So that,
That was
early
his way
on,
of training you.
that was his way of like going and having a good time while I was working. But it was okay. And so I figured that part out. And from there, I ended up opening my own store in Germany first, and then my store in Hawaii in 2003 when we first moved here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sort of the
Selling
beginning
what?
of
Selling
importing.
what in these stores?
We were selling furniture, artwork, and mostly Buddha sculptures and antiques, actually stuff that is usually between 100 and 200 years old.
So what's the common denominator between all of those things?
They're made in China.
Okay. So what would you call the store like that?
The store was called Buddha Welt. It was Buddha for
This
Buddha.
is the one in Germany.
And here in Hawaii too.
Oh, Budavelt.
Yeah, I didn't change the name. I just
Welt
kept
means
the same.
land?
It means world.
World. Okay.
Yeah. It was at that point. It was supposed to represent a world of enlightened people.
Okay.
So I
That's
liked
good.
that name
That's
at that
good.
time. Yeah.
So clearly an import-export.
Import
operation.
export, mostly import really. We
Yeah.
weren't exporting as much.
Yeah, sure.
And that was how I got started. And in 07, end of 06, early 07, I realized that I wanted to add more value personally to this whole idea of doing business, and I started branching out into green and sustainability consulting. I was looking at green products. I got a few distribution rights for Hawaii for green building products. I was heavily involved with the building industry. And
Were you importing
stuff.
green building products?
We were importing green building products also, distributing green materials and other green products from the mainland here in Hawaii. And also mostly was doing green consulting. So helping other companies and individuals become more sustainable.
Oh, really? Like what? Construction companies or other things?
Building companies, I was mostly dealing with the individuals, so to speak. Like I go into a hotel and I would encourage the employees to understand the concept of sustainability and then actually embrace it within the work environment. Small such things as adding a sticker next to your light switch that says something funny or memorable, so that every time you walk by, you feel inclined to switch it off because of that reason. Very low budget, high impact type of things, mostly related to personal behaviors. And from there on, at some point I realized that I really like stuff. I like products, and that took me into this little adventure here. So,
but the China thing, okay? So you haven't told me how you wound up with a warehouse in Beijing.
Oh, just importing things from Beijing. It ended up being more cost efficient to buy things in bulk, while in China, and then just only go once a year, and then have it all there, and then release it based on digital pictures that I would have, and send them over. Say, hey, ship me item such and such in the next container, ship such and such, and that was in comparison to the rent. I mean, I could rent a warehouse for the whole year in comparison to what you get a small 10 by 10 unit here, right? Storage unit. So that one made a lot of sense to me. And
so how much trouble is it to rent a warehouse in Beijing? What do you got to do? You got to get a permit or what?
Oh, actually, all I did is I told my friend that I need some of his space. That was it.
So you're operating under somebody else.
Yeah,
so it becomes easy that way.
Right. Yeah. It was the agent that we had worked with who had his own company there.
Sure, and he would have extra space.
They had a giant warehouse. Yeah.
So now you got to go and you got to negotiate with the factories, right? And I'm really interested in talking to you about that.
About this project, yeah. Well, right now I haven't been in China ever since I started this project about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And I think I will find myself in China within the next 3 to 6 months again.
Why, for another product?
Yeah, this product, some other products, and also quality insurance. I want to make sure that things are done the way I want them to be done.
Yeah.
That mainly comes down to ensuring that there's good work ethics in the places where this is produced, and also that the sustainable ingredients are actually being used to the extent that I want them to be used.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go back to how you start up. So you find the factory that is doing this for Apple. Okay. All right. So what do you do? Pick up the phone?
Email. Actually, I put together a list of what they refer to as contract manufacturers. So when you look at all your big electronics brands like Samsung, LG, Nokia, Sony, I mean all of them, right? Apple, HP, Dell.
Yeah.
I would say that 99% of all of their things get produced in either China or Taiwan.
Sure.
And so what I did, I put myself together a list of the actual contract manufacturers that are certified to do things for Apple that are power related.
Okay, so then you find them and you look them up on the web and you get an email for entry and maybe a name, and then you write them an email. What does the email say?
Can you do this in such and such way, and how much is it going to cost?
Okay, and do they write you back, or do they do some vetting first?
It was a combination of. I actually sent it out to 24 manufacturers in a very brief way without really describing further into what the product was.
Just touching.
Touching base, and basically made the progress saying, hey, whoever gets back to me first gets into my first round.
Did you tell them that?
I didn't tell them that, but out of the 24, 9 got back to me within the 24 hours. And so the others I ignored, and those 9 I started working with.
That's simple.
And then I took it from there.
It's the first test.
The first test, right. And then I realized that actually 3 of them had better English writing than I did. So hands down, I decided to work with those guys.
Why?
Just because they were just so well communicating and so clear in their communication.
You wanted that. You didn't want any confusion, intentional or otherwise.
Well, I already had so much of that in the past 10 years of working with, importing from Asia, that I noticed that I remembered this. It's like, hey, wait, I don't want to do this thing again.
Yeah.
And especially when you're talking about such things as I might be producing millions of these things and have to ship them all over the world. Like, do I really want to work with somebody that doesn't understand what I tell them?
Yeah.
And so
isn't that true?
And what I realized is that some of these guys actually were like from Stanford.
Sure.
Chinese guy that
speak
had lived in
English,
America,
sure.
Studied here, and then I was working for big corporations in China, and I was like, wow, I was impressed with that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, when you think about it, hello, and I mean, this is like multi, global business.
Sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah, some reason or another it is.
Okay, so they come back and you pick one.
I actually have not picked one yet.
Okay. Oh, you're testing now.
Well, yeah, I'm very close to picking one right now because I guess that's the next thing we might want to get into is how I got my initial funds raised.
Well, first I want to get the basic plan. So your idea is to pick somebody who can do this, for high volume,
right?
And your specs, whatever, and then you want to take these things in various juicy colors and sell them everywhere, and sell them for less than Apple sells this.
Actually, for the exact same price. I'm not selling it for less.
So explain to me why did you take that approach? Wouldn't it be better to sell them for $5 less and get right under Apple that way?
No, not in any way at all. I would even consider selling it for more. The difference is that these guys have in the past 10 years produced more than 500 million of these white cables. I'm looking at production runs of maybe 50,000. This is you're talking about scale here. So these guys get it for very, very inexpensive. I pay a lot of money for these things right now. Matter of fact, some of these colorful cables right now probably cost me hundreds of dollars, each one.
Yeah.
Just because they're first production run samples. Right?
Yeah.
And so considering that, also considering the fact that I'm not gonna probably sell 500 million of these in the first year, perhaps in the course of the
that'll be nice.
Next few years, I might, but so that's the number one thing. The other thing is, as you would probably recall, like people associate value to the money spent. So I'm looking at this as a premium, high quality product that is just as good as this product.
Well, that's the
Perhaps
message.
even
That's the
better.
message you're sending by charging the same price.
Yes,
You're saying
and
just as good as Apple.
since this is the product right here that I'm, I wouldn't say compete with, but that I'm, comparing myself to. It also says that I want to sell this product not at, your local mom and pop shop only, perhaps that too, but I really want to get these into the Apple Store by the end of the year.
Will they take your product competing with their own at the same price?
I sure hope so.
Have you tried? Have you asked them? Have
I'm
you
in
connected?
communication right now,
Yeah. And the box is going to be the same?
It's not going to be the
No,
same.
not the same, but same size box and all the same
similar,
photograph.
similar.
And,
I want people to get it, I want them to associate or say like, well, this is they understand that these products are similar, right? I want them to understand the similar quality, similar works,
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make a giant box that's going to have like a, Fruity Loop sticking out or something
Well,
like
if
that.
I were Apple, why would I do that?
Well, how about this? Because in every single cable that I produce, you make $2 or $3. That wouldn't be a bad.
Whatever it is.
That wouldn't be a bad incentive, huh?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad incentive, right?
Yeah.
And then
And I'm using you're using my part.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Three.
so
I mean $3 by the time I produce it, and then when they sell it through their channel, by the time they sell my product in their channel, they've made probably 3-4 times as much as I've made on the product.
Sure.
So why not at that point, right?
Sure. So it's free money for them.
Well, it's
Okay, but I'm big question.
Sure.
Just let's when we take a breath.
Yeah.
And we back up a little bit. Okay, big question. Suppose you are wildly successful
yes.
and you're selling them like gangbusters everywhere.
I sure hope so.
I can knock you off in 5 minutes. I can do the same exact thing. What exactly stops me from doing that?
Actually, nothing does. Absolutely nothing does. The thing is that any big company want to come in right now and do this, they probably could. They probably see me on TV, they see me in an interview, or they see me in a magazine, and they go, that's a great idea. Let's bring some out and have them in the stores within the next 2 to 3 months. So yes, they can do that, but think of it this way. When was the last time you looked at a Belkin or Griffin product and you felt excited about it? Not once you've done that. You know what the kind of comments is that I get about this product because of the company that we produce, basically showcase ourselves as? I can't wait to get mine. What's going to stop me from biting into it? Yum, yum. I'm drooling right now. I mean, these are the comments.
Looks like licorice.
They do look like candy to a certain extent, don't they? Matter of fact, my kids, actually, I found one of my kids actually chewing on one of them one time.
Maybe should put a flavor on the outside.
Perhaps the new ones, 2012 version, is going to have licorice and...
Yeah, and actually, it doesn't do any anything with the cell phone. You just eat it.
That's Juicies, your next favorite snack.
keep them near your computer.
Every time you get hungry, you just eat it. You can chew off the outside of it. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, so the reality is, it's I don't have, so to speak, right now a proprietary brand on that. Of course, we have a trademark on a copyright and those type of things.
Don't you think you should have a brand? I mean, really.
We have a brand.
That's not going to solve the problem about making a blue one or a green one, but at least it gives you a little cachet in the market.
Yes, and the thing is that trying to get first to market right now, producing it and pushing it out as quickly as we can. And of course, there will always be copycats no matter what you do. Matter of fact, by the time I had the first samples produced, something must have leaked because this was like just a couple of weeks ago. I found a couple of them on eBay.
And you didn't sell them to anybody.
Not my eBay account, no.
Well, I mean, would it surprise you a whole lot? I mean, would you fall off your chair if I suggested the possibility that the same factory that makes them for you has some others going out the back door?
No, I'm pretty sure they will. That's how that usually works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen those iPhones you can buy in China that look the exact same, feel the exact same?
And they made the same factory.
And they made the same factory. And they actually say Apple on them. Have you seen those?
Well, I've seen them, but I believe it completely.
Them.
I mean,
And they even come with
come
with a dual chip option, so you can put 2 SIM cards in, and you ask yourself, like, that Apple didn't make that. So yeah.
They're cheap.
And they're only $100, right? Yeah. So I'm saying that is always a reality of doing business. And
well, this is, it's straight. I got to tell you a short story. I mean, I represented a guy who came up with a really interesting widget.
Okay.
And it was a very, very creative thing, but it was impossible really to get, or at least not economic, try to get intellectual property protection on it. And his theory was that he goes, in this case, to Korea. He has millions of them made. He sells them everywhere, and people buy them because it was good. And soon enough, they would come around and knock him off.
Of course.
Because that's the way it works. It's more successful the more knockoff guys. And he went into the marketplace with this exact intention: hit and run, quick,
in and
big
out.
volume, in and out, go on to something else, stay ahead of the crowd. And it worked.
That's sort of what I'm trying to do right now. I mean, perhaps I shouldn't be talking to you right now, huh?
No, you're talking to them, not me.
Okay, guys. Now, who is this anyways?
It's everybody. We'll keep this confidential, right? Well, I mean, it seems like a good strategy if you're creative enough, and I think you are, to come up with the next thing in the pipeline, within the next few months, so if you get knocked off, you just, go on to the next product.
Yeah, I released one product, a product concept. These ones, what was it, a little bit more than 30 days ago now to raise the initial funds. Then shortly after, actually a few days ago, I came up with the new version. I don't have the samples of the ColorPhones ones right now, but it's the 3-foot extension cord.
Yeah.
So you can actually go, USB specification allows you, based on the way that USB is designed, to go to 15.6 feet. Just a little bit, or actually, or was it 16.5? Either one. So
Yeah.
almost 16 feet is what you can do before the connection and the charging sort of drops.
Apple make that, or
No, this is universal worldwide. So that's
Yeah.
the whole idea how that works. So you could go actually as far as 15 feet. Now my cable's being 3 feet. You take your original Juicies cable, and you take let's say 4 of these Juicies extensions. You're totaling 15 feet. And I've tried it in my house. It actually works. So I can plug my phone in into this cable, and then I plug it all the way to my either AC plug or my computer, and I can actually walk and pace back and forth on the phone like I usually do when I'm on the phone, and I'm still charging at the same time. I thought that was great.
very cool, very cool. So, but is that the length, or is it going to be longer than that?
3 feet.
3 feet. You're only going to make 3 feet. These are 3 feet
These
also.
are all 3 feet. Yeah. So therefore it works
Is this
well.
3 feet?
This is all 3 feet.
Okay.
So
And this is going to be all colors or just white?
no, same 10 colors.
Same thing. Actually, I could do mix and match, couldn't I?
One of the comments I got from Brazil.
Of course, Brazil.
Brazil.
They know colors of
They
Brazil.
love
don't they?
colors, don't they? So when I get this comment, guess this. So this is somebody that supported it, and said, I'm very much looking forward to my green cable. I added extra funds. I would love to get 2 extension cords with that. Any chance you can send me in a green and a yellow one?
There you go.
Guess what my German buddy says?
Make
You
them.
know I want a black, red, and yellow one. And then you see all of a sudden, people's creative ideas coming out, which is, with the white one, it's good too, yeah, but, you can draw on it with a Sharpie like I did. But with these, you actually get to play with them. A little bit more
Yeah.
fun.
Well, the other thing too is that imagine. I mean, in my case, it's easy to see. Computers and wires and all the
Yeah.
peripherals all hanging around.
Yes.
And it's all sort of boring. But the phone is special.
That's right,
and
you
you
got
want to
that.
be able to find the phone right away.
The phone is
You
the
want it to
one
be-
main one. Yeah, absolutely.
So this actually does that. 'Cause
This does
you
that.
look at a pile of
Okay.
electronic gear, you find the phone right away.
Imagine a confusing cable chaos on your desk, or even on your desk, even better on your desk. How about this one? That's going to stand right out. Right out.
It will.
And you know exactly that this one is connected to the one device that really counts.
Right.
Because when
The
you're
one
running out
device
of the
that really
office,
counts, yeah.
or when jumping into your car, there's only one thing you really need.
It's
That's
true.
your credit card. That's your
It's
phone.
true. So what are you going to call it? Do you know?
They're called Juicies.
That's it. Juicies.
Juicies. There's one product, the main product, Juicies. So the actual name for them is going to be called Juicies USB to dock connector cable.
I can see it here.
So this is different, but ours is called Juicies USB to dock connector cable.
And then
So
a
similar-
photograph of it somewhere. with-
similar as that.
With the color? No, the color.
Well, of course
You
the
want
color.
the same box.
No.
So you don't
Custom
want to
box.
have different boxes
Yes,
with different
yeah.
colors.
Do-
So you'll have maybe a rainbow kind of affair.
No. It
What?
will. Each box will have its specific
Oh,
color.
oh,
on
it will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because-
Siri is into color.
Yeah.
So it's all about. I mean, I know there's some. You put some thought into this. It's all about appealing to people on a personal level, on a need for color, on a need for identification, on a device that everybody has or will have really soon. We all live by these things now.
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, when I run out of juice, I get pretty cranky. If I can't check my email or check my Twitter or even use the phone for what it's
It'll
supposed to
become
do,
more
making a
the
phone
case.
call. Yeah.
So now, what about July, when the next iteration of the phone comes out? July. It's a month away. July.
Oh.
Is this the right fitting?
Is it July? Is it September? Do you know?
Oh, maybe it was pushed. Yeah, it was
Of
pushed.
course it will fit.
Okay, so September then, all right?
Of course it will fit. Of
Okay.
course it will
How do you
fit.
know that? They're not
Um,
going to tell you.
well, I've signed an NDA, so I can't tell you all too much. But I guess when you are a part of the Apple developer group, let that be software or hardware, there's certain information that you work with. I'm not saying that this is necessarily the one that will work. I don't know about that. But all I know is that whatever is that I'm bringing out and that I'm actually releasing to the market when I ship them will work. So these cables are compatible all the way back to the first iPod in
yeah.
2001,
Good,
believe it or not.
Good.
The reason that I chose the Apple 30-pin dock connector cable as a colorful version is that specific reason, that it's been the only cable in the past 10 years that has not changed. I mean, it has changed its form,
Yeah,
its shape. It used to be this big on the top and used to be wider, and the hooks you have to press them in. So there's been some modifications to it, but really more a simplification.
Right.
The connection part is still the same. So if I whack out my old, iPod from back then, I plug this Juicies in,
It works.
charge right up.
And it's likely, I mean, given that success, and it really is, a success, because this is a moving part. This is the kind of thing that breaks.
Yes.
The kind of thing that screws everything up and
Yes.
fails. And
Yes.
so if it's been successful for them for how many years,
10.
they're likely to continue to use it.
At least for now, yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
USB 3 is now, I would say not just on the horizon, but very close in proximity.
This would not fit a USB 3 then, huh?
Well,
But I'm sure you'll find something.
if you look up some of the information that you can find online regarding some of the Apple patents, you might find some information regarding to that. But this
But you
is
can't
actually
tell me anymore, right?
Well, how about this? This actually USB connector is not going to change just because of USB 3.0. It's just the other side that's going to change, right?
This is going to change. The
Well, not on
Apple
Apple,
connection?
not on the Apple ones right now, but in general.
So what's going to change with USB 3? This piece?
No, really only the speed. The speed is going to.
So this will carry it, or maybe you need another cable. You got to see. You're not going to tell me.
Well, you'll see.
No, you don't have to tell me.
No, I mean, we're in development right now.
Of course, okay.
I mean, here's the ones you guys can get right now. If you want anybody want to get one of these pre-production samples,
Well,
for your iPhone,
USB
let me
3
know.
is not immediate anyway,
Let's
There's a
put
lot
it
of
this
talk
way.
so far.
Yeah, that's gonna say the past 10 years worked well with these, and I think give it another year or two, and that's what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
asking for 5 years right now.
Yeah.
So.
So how many are you going to make? Can you tell me that?
Lots,
Okay.
like lots.
Like hundreds of thousands.
Eventually, not for the first run, but
You got to develop your distribution system.
Right.
Did it ever occur to you that if you do develop a distribution system, you can use that distribution system for other products?
it's called a channel. I love to have a channel where I can just push things in.
Yeah.
That's right.
So keep on coming up with
Well,
things.
this is my first idea, and I have about a dozen on the shelf right now.
You mean beyond the extension cord?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
No.
I knew that. And suppose I insist.
Well, suppose I say no.
Okay,
No,
let's talk about money.
Okay.
That's always interesting.
Yeah.
You inferred earlier that you had some special technique for raising money. What happened?
I guess it was not all that special. I've used the website, I work with a website called Kickstarter.com. Kickstarter's been around for just a little over 2 years now, so it's not all that special anymore. But it's still somewhat special in comparison to your regular ways of raising funds, especially when you refer to such things as seed funding, or like your initially kick to get it going. And I knew I was going to need some funds beyond my own personal savings and my own credit cards to jumpstart this. And so on April 22nd, 2011, I launched my Juicies Colorful Cable project on Kickstarter.com.
This goes out to the public. What
This
does
goes out
What does it look
worldwide.
like? What does it do?
Kickstarter.com is a website which is called Create and Follow. Oh no, what's it called? Fund and Follow Creative Projects. That's what they call it. Yeah, fund and follow creative projects. And so, in some ways, this is a very creative project because people refer to colors or something, something creative. And I launched my project there. It has a 3-minute video that explains all the steps that I've taken from where I initially started with my idea to like where I'm at right now with the samples that I already have, and explains the concept of why I think it is necessary to have colorful cables. And
And it pitches.
it's sort of like a pitch. Yeah, I mean, really when you look at it, it's a pitch. It's a pitch for an idea, a pitch for a concept, pitch for a product,
Yeah.
pitch for
Well,
whatever you have.
pitch
right?
for money.
Yeah. The way that Kickstarter is built, it's built around creative projects, and mostly they use find books and artwork and photography and film and that kind of thing. But
Could be anything.
it could be anything.
And in this case, you slipped
product.
in under creative project.
Under design. I slipped in under design.
Design.
Yeah.
It's like, it really is sort of like a Museum of Modern Art kind of approach. No, and I'm sure if you refine it, and I think you will, you can find other twists to make it even more a Museum of Modern Art kind of approach.
Well,
People can't resist,
You could, actually I was thinking that there's a reward section that I had. I mean, Kickstarter is over as of Monday, May 23rd, 2 a.m. it was over. So it was only a 30-day project.
Or they only post it for that long?
Well, you can post it as long as you want, but since I want to go to production quickly, I
Yeah.
listed it for 30 days,
Yeah.
and I figured I'd take as much as I can get in the first 30 days,
Yeah.
and then I hit and run, and
Yeah.
I move on and put this into production and
Yeah.
actually try to push it out to the
Okay,
shelves.
and you know, it's what you've told me and pictures and whatnot and a little schmaltz, and before you know it, people click the button and say they want to participate.
Yeah.
How much money did you raise?
We raised 22,000 something.
Well, that'll get you airfare to China.
I think it should.
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if oil goes up.
Even if oil goes up.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So you put a few hours in, and now they take a percentage or what?
Kickstarter takes 5%, and they process through Amazon for the credit card processing, and Amazon takes an additional between 1.9 and 3%, depending on what kind of credit card was used.
Not so bad.
And so let it be 8 to 9% of the total that gets taken out. So I'm looking at getting slightly right around 20,000, it's a little over 20,000 that I'm getting right now.
Yeah. So
Matter of fact, it's in transfer right now.
yeah.
It's going to hit my account within probably the end of this week.
Now these people are making a loan to you, making equity. What are they doing?
Well,
They're not buying stock. Certainly, they're not buying
They're
stock.
certainly not buying stock. That's correct. So what they're doing is they're referred to as backers. So they're backing my project, and what they do is they're taking in a pledge towards my project. And me as the project creator, I have the ability to create rewards. So some projects might create reward as saying, "I'll send you a box of cookies made by my mom for funding my project." I said every backer that backs my project by as little as $1 will get one of my cables once these are produced, because you guys are the first ones to jump on board and say, "Hey, we like this." And I made 2,000 of these spots available, and I think we sold 1,600 of these spots, within the 30 days.
What's the average contribution?
By the time it's all said and done, the contribution came out to be right around $14.
That's all. This is like micro loans. You know what I mean? You make it up in volume, lots and lots of volume.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it came down to. We had a lot of backers that backed initially $1, and then when I told them how much shipping cost is going to be, etc., then they upped it to like $8 or $9. I had a bunch of people that backed me with like $100 and $200 just because they loved it and they were excited to be able to get one. And had a couple of family members that backed me, and friends. But mostly it was people from all over the world, as far as Malaysia and UK and Australia. And out of these people, I now have about 7 contacts worldwide that are interested in distributing this in their markets.
Oh yeah, sure, and maybe more money too. So what do they get? I mean, they get the right to buy Juicy cheap, but
No, they actually get one. I'm going to send them one. I'm going to send
okay,
it. It
send them
includes free
one, all
shipping
right,
too.
whatever. Shipping too, but is that it? I mean, what they're doing is bidding then on the item. They're just buying the item is what it amounts to
On
at an
my project,
inflated
yes.
price. No, it's not
No,
inflated.
less than.
No, it's less than
yeah,
market.
less than market, right. So
So
they're
it's
getting
a bargain.
Exactly right. They're getting free shipping. So what I'm doing is I'm basically, for my project, I was pre-selling product
Yeah.
at a
wholesale.
price that wholesale, whatever the price it is,
Yeah.
that people were able to choose the price that they think is fair. It happened to be around $14, which is sort of like right in the middle between retail and wholesale,
Yeah.
which seems to be a fair price because people feel like, well, it should be a bargain since we're the first ones, And I put it right on the website saying that it's going to be $19.
But are you going to get
eventually.
your costs back on these things?
Yeah.
You're going to make some money on it? But you have the cost of production.
Yeah.
So that's going to eat into whatever you get on it.
Well, my first transfer to China is probably going to be more in the 100,000 plus range. So the 20,000 that I'm getting is a good
It's
step
the
in the
seed,
direction.
seed money
It's the seed money, yeah.
for the manufacturer.
Right.
So, so is this the first time you've dealt with Kickstart?
I've looked at Kickstarter ever since they started. I've been following different projects, and I've actually backed a bunch of different projects with amounts such as $5, $10, or even $1.
Mm-hmm.
And I had looked into it about a year ago one time as a project, but I've never actually took it serious as far as me launching my own project.
How did you find out about it? I mean, it just really sounds kind of interesting.
I think it's I studied art for a while, and so when you up into that artistic area a little bit, sometimes you find out, you hear about things, you just like
It stick in your mind. Yeah.
Some people use Vimeo, most people use YouTube. I mean,
Yeah,
Vimeo
yeah.
is a little bit more artistic to a certain extent. It's not really artistic; it's just a hosting service for video. But there's a lot of artists that use it because of certain reasons. And
So suppose I'm coming on Kickstart and I want to do this transaction with you, and I offer you $2. That's below cost.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you reject?
No,
You do it anyway,
hell yeah.
but you know you're losing money on that.
Not by the time I average it. By the time I average it out, because there's others that are paying more, which then make up for the ones that pay less. And by the time it all is said and done, I'm making somewhere between $13 and $15, and a sales value.
So, but you don't tell them on the site, in your own site, part of that site, that you expect them to pay at least this much, or that the price is going to be in this range or anything like that.
Well, no, I did. I made it very clear. I said that the retail price is going to be $19. Shipping it, within the United States is probably going to cost me around $3, and shipping internationally is probably going to cost me around $5.
Yeah.
So please consider this when making your contribution, so that you understand that these cables are going to cost me a few dollars to manufacture and a few dollars to ship. So if you backing me with $1, you basically are a sludge, and you're taking something out of my initial creative fund.
Guilt.
Well, it's not guilt. I mean, the thing is that you're getting a customer that's excited about your product. Try to find a customer that's excited about your product. Look, if you spend advertising money, that's going to cost you a lot just to get that one person into your door or onto your site. So I look at it as the ones that are backing by the $1 or $2 or $3. Well, those are my customers right now. They didn't want to spend that much, but they still are now.
They're in your database.
There's a connection. So I've been emailing back and forth with some of these that pledged very little, and they actually ended up, backing a little bit more after I communicated with them. They're like, "Oh, okay, now I understand. Sure, you're right." And so I had a few people the day after the project was over that sent me a few dollars, like $5, $8, $3 via PayPal to my personal PayPal email. Just because they were like, "Oh, the project was over. Sorry, we wanted to get you some extra money for shipping." And
Boy, people are funny, aren't they?
I think the reality is that while we don't really trust the internet and people in general, we as humans are somewhat trustworthy. We really are. And if you put that belief out there, and if you work that to a certain extent, and also showcase that you are a real person, not just some corporation trying to rip others off, then that might come back.
So, and that's your video.
That was my video. It was all about that. I was
You're telling him your whole theory and
everything,
and explaining. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't telling him all about that, like how much you should fund and how much I think you should do it.
But you present in candor. You present how you feel about it, and
yes,
sounds like it worked. So, and I can't do the math, but it sounds like you had a lot of people. How many people actually responded?
1,654 people actually supported us financially.
And that's the end of the deal, right? They essentially bought the unit.
Yes.
And it's over, except that you have some contact with them later.
Well, they bought the unit. I got all the contact information, and I'm emailing with them back and forth.
Can you do it again?
Kickstarter?
Yeah.
I think so.
You could do it all the time. You could do it over and over.
I could. Yes. I mean, it's a lot of work. Don't take it.
What, even making the video, making the page?
Well, making the video, making the page, but the reality is that my official work, so to speak, that I have been doing. I've been doing consulting contracts for the past few years. I didn't extend my consulting contract as of May 1st.
You're going into this.
April 22nd, I launched this project, and then 10 days later, when my contract came up for renewal, basically we sat down and I said, what, I think I'm gonna focus more my time now on this.
So, our little show here today is historical. This is the
show
beginning. This is the first month of your new life.
This is actually the first month of my new life and my new business and my new direction and my I think the thing that I've been passionate about for many, many years, and I've never admitted it. I've been sort of like I guess you could call it like a closet geek.
Tell the people.
I've been a closet geek. And not just Apple related, but just in general. I mean, I've always loved to do that. I've loved to help people with their devices. I've been taking cell phones apart into like every single piece ever since I was like 12 years old. I was the first person to run around with a cell phone in my whole school campus at the age of 14. I was just like, I mean, I always loved it. I loved it. Mostly mobile devices, though. Mostly the mobile hardware, mobile, Wi-Fi. I mean, everything you name it, whatever was related to that.
But it's on an informal level. I mean, do you have any training in computers or technology?
Well, I don't have any Microsoft certified certificates in that sense, but I'm sure I'll be much quicker than most certified person to fix a computer.
Sure. Well, and I guess from all this that you're backing Apple, and you're putting your money on Apple here. But how do you feel about Android and all the other
Well, let's do another show in a month or two, and I'll tell you more about that.
Okay. I'm just trying to snoop into that pipeline you've got and see what else is in there.
Of course, I'm not ignoring that. I mean, to give you a little numbers on that, 500 million of these white cables have shipped in the past 10 years. Actually, these white cables, 500 million of them.
Jeez.
And last year, 2010 alone, 400 million smartphones have shipped, not including the iPhone. Talking about Android being a big market share.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely strongly on my mind. So I'm not ignoring it. I just wanted to find one segment to identify
Right.
myself with.
Right.
And I chose the one that I know most about, and I know the individuals most, since I've been using the iPhone for 2 years now. I know a lot of people that do also.
But $10,000 or $20,000 is not going to produce 100 million of these things.
Not even 100,000 of these. That's correct.
Yeah. So you got to raise more money.
You have some for me?
Well, we can talk afterward. My check.
Yes,
but
it
no,
does.
But how are you going to do that? What's the plan?
The plan is to reach out to individuals and groups that see the market
Angel
potential. Angel money and VC. I've started communication with Secure Capital in California. I've just recently looked up Coastal Ventures. I'm looking at firms and individuals that share sustainable values just as much as I do. That share the concept of a more sustainable future, because beyond this being an electronic product, I'm trying to stir up the electronics markets just so slightly. The whole idea started when I said I wanted to make a cable that's more sustainable. It didn't come out to be about colors as much.
Mm-hmm.
It came out to be realizing that these cables break all the time, we throw them away. And I started researching that, and I was really upset about all of that. And I realized how many cables have been thrown away, and I was really upset about that. And then I realized that just because I would come out now and launch a sustainable version of this white cable, nobody would care. Nobody would care.
But that's not so. They do care.
Well, not really. They would care slightly. Oh yeah, now this guy's got a sustainable cable. Great.
Yeah.
Let me go to the Apple store and get mine white cable that I already had before.
Yeah.
But with this thing, and I've proven this in the past 30 days now, there's a personal, emotional connection, because my Dutch friends love orange, and my Werder Bremen soccer field team in Germany love green because it's the color of their team, and my friends in Hawaii, a lot of them like blue because it's the ocean, and my daughter and my wife love this pink one. So there's a personal, emotional connection to the cable that's established now. The fact that they're sustainable can be overplayed. It doesn't necessarily need to be the first thing that people talk about. It just happens to be also sustainable, or more sustainable at least.
So if you gave up your consulting life, how are you going to live?
I hope I sell a lot of these cables.
You got to get on it right now.
I am on it right now.
I
yes.
knew that. Yeah.
I'm working
Haven't
10,
wasted
15,
any
18
time.
hours every day. I mean,
Yeah.
I usually don't go to bed before 3, 4 a.m.,
Yeah.
making sure that the communication is done and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you working alone? Is your wife helping you? You have staff? You have volunteers?
I've had a lot of volunteers in the first 30 days now. I mean, I had friends and family. My brother helped me put the whole video together. He's a film guy, and a lot of other people helped me with these things. Right now, ownership, of course, everything is 100% me. I started it's a single one-man show right now, but I am planning for that to change rather quickly as well. I know that if I want to take on a big market like this, I need a good team.
Yeah.
And for anybody seeing this, if you happen to be interested and you refer to yourself as a good team member, call me.
Well, what would this team member have to do? I mean, if I walked in the door and I said, Laurens, I want to be on your team, what kind of job would you give me?
I would have to understand first what you're passionate about and what your skill set is.
That's a good start. Okay, well, I'm passionate about using the web for sales. That's why, the website you described is so interesting to me. So what would you employ? What would you, assign me to do?
Well, now that I know what you're passionate about, what's your skill set?
I can write the language, and I can build a website.
What websites have you built in the past?
Oh, later. I'll tell you later. All the
Okay.
websites. They're all clean, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think, just like everything else, I would definitely take a very close look at the individuals that I'm talking to right now, as I am doing, because I think that, getting into a business relationship is definitely, in some sense, like a marriage. And I've been married now and been with my wife for many, many years, and I understand that there's ups and downs and good times and bad times, and I feel that, and I usually when I get in bed with somebody in that sense, I like to make sure that there's a fit.
Yeah,
And the values is something that's really important to me, like what are an individual's values, and then alongside that, the other thing is like, what's your skill set or what's your contribution? If you're coming to me right now and say, Laurens, I love building websites, and by the way, here's a check for $200,000, what do you think? I probably won't look too closely at your resume right now.
Yeah.
But if you're coming to me and you say, well, I don't have too much savings, I want to work with you, and my skills are really, really good, I'll probably look at your resume very closely, and I probably would work with you too.
Sure. Yeah. And that'll be our last discussion.
Yeah, either which way, right?
So what about keeping control on this? I mean, what kind of structure do you see around this company that you're going to build? You're gonna take in equity partners, or everybody's just going to work for you or contract for you?
I think I would love to have equity partners. I think that
When I say that, I mean, I come in with my skill, no money,
right,
and you can make me a partner.
Do you remember the story of the masseuse that was massaging the founders of Google? They walked out with $13 million check after.
Really, that's a terrific massage.
All she was doing was massaging these guys.
They really liked the massage.
They really needed it too. They're working many, many hours. So not to say that we need a masseuse on staff here, but the idea, I do strongly believe in it, that anybody that jumps on board in the beginning and shares the same value should get reimbursed for that. And so I'm not gonna give anybody 50% right now, but if you're bringing a really highly needed skill set to the table, and that's something that I perhaps usually couldn't afford, then I do think that needs to be reimbursed.
Well, so is this it? I mean, do you see this vehicle of this company as making Juicies today and making Fruit Loops tomorrow and whatever, and continuing as the entity in which you spend your time, or is it just one stepping stone along the way? How do you see it?
The Kickstarter campaign that we did was one of the stepping stones. Getting these into the market is the next stepping stone. I do strongly believe that good things develop over time, and I do believe that there's a big potential for this market right now with the direction and the concept that I want to get into, and whatever happens at that point. I will always adjust along the way to make sure that that we are on top of things, and that we are moving along with the market, and also sometimes perhaps against the market to position ourselves for a later point. So in that sense, I guess I could plan for the next 2-3 years, or maybe 5, but really what happens, we'll see, right?
We'll see what happens, sure.
Right.
So you can't answer that question anyway.
Only to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what I was getting at was, well, you take this, you develop a certain volume, you got a certain franchise in the market, quick, bingo, sell it.
Well, for these guys, yes. But as you know yourself, the mobile market is continuously changing and upgrading, and
Sure.
yeah, so
The idea is to hit a fresh idea, when it's needed, and then
right.
hit and run, and then
Stay
go on to the
close.
next fresh
Stay
idea.
close to the street. Stay close to the ground. That's right. That's right.
So what prepared you for this extraordinary, rush of creativity? Was it time in the shop in Germany? What was it?
First of all, thank you for referring to it as such a creative spurt that had nobody said that.
That's my
actually.
reaction.
Oh,
I
wow.
tell it like
Appreciate
I see
it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I honestly don't have a real answer to that. I think it was just something that I've always been a very creative person, and I always liked the idea of an entrepreneurial endeavors. I have my own stores, and I've been looking forward to doing something else. I've been doing this contracting work now for a while, and it was okay, and it paid the majority of our bills, if not all of them. And I realized that I just there was something was lacking, and so I did this for like almost a year now, this contracting work, and I just realized like I need to have an outlet, and what better outlet to have for creativity than to produce a product that people like.
So, but couldn't you consult on the side? I mean, just for, just in case.
It's not gonna run away, and I will definitely keep my ears open. So it's not gonna be something where I will turn it down if a good contract would come along, or if I end up being in communication and there's a contract that comes along. I would definitely not turn that down. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I have to evaluate it as far as the, what I have to do now with this, and how much the other thing is gonna pay. So I think my time currently, in this very moment, it's better spent getting this off the ground with the volume I wanted to get off the ground than to go out there and hunt for another consulting contract.
Yeah, okay. What about, it also strikes me that, you're a traveler. Got to be a traveler, and
I love traveling.
Yeah, well, I can
Oh, yeah.
tell, and so it doesn't bother you to go to China.
No, I love
It
it.
doesn't
It's
bother you to
great.
go anywhere.
China's great during the wintertime, actually. It's the best time to go.
Why?
Right after Chinese
cold.
New Year.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Why?
It's nice and cold and it's dry and you're not hot and sweaty, and it's actually seems to be for some reason much more cleaner because there was just a big break and things were on hold for a while, and it's just lovely, especially when you come from Hawaii and things are hot and sweaty the whole time.
Well, you like to travel in general.
Yeah.
To Europe as well.
I haven't traveled to Europe enough in the past years because we now have 3 kids and I've been spending a lot of my time that I was not working raising those little ones.
Yeah. So what I guess is, do you see looking forward, you're going to have to
Absolutely.
travel a lot?
I am
and
so
make this
looking.
distribution.
I am so looking forward to making sure that juices are sold in 50+ countries within the next year. Yes, I am so looking forward to that.
How are you going to do that? Just tell me roughly, not the exquisite
Well, I
details.
think a lot of the things can be done actually. Initially started, via email and phone calls, and then I think once you're ready to make a decision, you fly over for a few days or for a week. I think maybe
Set
a
up
day or
your
two.
network.
Set up that network. Set up the network in advance, and then once you're ready to to hit, you go in, you go out, and then you. What I really want to do is, I don't want to be a control freak. What I want to do is I want to empower individuals working with me or even companies working alongside us to execute with us. So I would love to find, let's say, one really fantastic distributor for all of Europe versus, let's say, 7 of them in each country, or 7 all over Europe. So that's sort of what I'm looking for. So, that's partners or, other companies that really bring value to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So in America, there's 3 really big distributors for electronics and these type of products.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them really specializes on Apple products. Really does. I mean, you can see everything they do is all about Apple products.
Yeah.
And so at that point,
That's a
I
natural.
don't really have to look around much more,
Yeah, you tap right in. Of course, they'll take their share.
Oh yeah.
But, hey, that's okay.
But then do I want to go knocking on 100 stores on their doors?
Take you too long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to work pretty much alone on the sales effort then?
I have a good friend of mine. His name is Michael Sorensen. He's from Hawaii here, and he is the guy that helped me when we first launched the Kickstarter campaign. He helped me with the social media. I think he's a good deal closer. He's done some big transactions in real estate as well, and he's a young guy. He's a go-getter, so I like him, and we're in communication right now, and I think that if we are successful getting this funded quickly, I think I would hope for him to jump on board full time. So, I don't think I can do everything myself. I very clearly know that. And so I would love to focus on the research, quality assurance, product development, creative branding. There's certain types of the business that I would like to focus on.
Well, I imagine that your products going forward will sort of build on this because now you know a little about how to manufacture electronic devices. But my goodness, you could actually do electronics too.
Yes.
You got to think of something useful, but it's a
Yes.
big market out there. It's getting better all the time. Going back to the whole thing about iPhone, people they get married to their iPhones now. Everywhere
Yeah.
you see, they absolutely depend on them all day long.
Oh yeah.
And,
It's almost ridiculous, but yeah, it's true. I mean, I am actually married to my wife and my iPhone. So.
I'm glad you
Don't
put
tell
it-
her that.
I'm glad you put it in that sequence.
Don't tell her that.
Well, I went to a meeting this morning, and everybody in the room, there was people speaking and whatnot, but everybody in the room is looking at their iPhones.
Right.
It's also what's it called? It's a status point to have
Yeah.
an iPhone.
Well, let me give you this. Check this out. Okay, let's put this to the side. Let's just look at these. All these to the side. Let's look at these connectors. We don't have these are extension cords, so I don't have the 30-pin connector here. But let's pretend that these things are here, and your iPhone is on the table, and my iPhone is on the table. Which one's yours?
Can't tell.
Right. You love green now, for this example. Which one's yours?
The green one.
That's right, and mine is the blue, because I love
Yeah.
blue. Actually, I don't, but, So that's a good factor that comes into play with these things.
Sure.
You know, just like people love the iPhones. And the other thing that I actually found out last year when I got my iPad was that when you have an iPad, and of course they come with the same wide cable as your iPhone, the little AC plug that you plug into the wall, like way under your desk, under there, you know, like 3-4 foot away from your actual, you know, hand, is different than the one from your iPhone. The one from the iPhone is 5 watts. The one for your iPad is 10 watts. Now the little cable that lays on top of your desk, coming from way below there onto your desk, looks the exact same. So what happens is you come in.
Get confused.
First of all, you don't even care because you just plug it into any of the cables laying around, and you assume, and it makes that sound, "Tweet," and you think, great, it's charging. But then you come back in the next morning, and it's still at 1%. It's not charged.
Because it was the wrong.
What the heck is
the
that?
Wrong power.
It was the wrong cord, and they look the exact same. So what did I do? You know, smart as I am, and not really. I took a Sharpie and I wrote on the iPad, and then I came back the next day and I was like, that looks really ugly. I just spent $699 for that iPad, and I have a cable that says iPad on it that is really ugly. On my all black, you know, hookup on my desk, and I'll have a white cable hanging out with the black Sharpie writing on it. That just didn't work for me.
I think you're right to start with something distinctive, something unusual, something nobody else has come up with. But I also think that if you go high end, that's distinctive all in itself. And if you come up with a strong holder, for example, either for the desk or for a car, people are going to go for the value. Because why? Because they love their iPhones.
I totally agree. I totally agree. No, I really do. And so if everything works out well with this, the way I'm planning it, I'm looking forward to giving you one of the next products I have in my pipeline. I think
okay.
you'll love
Well, that's what I want to talk about in the last couple of minutes here. What I really want to do is follow you.
Great.
Because you could actually succeed.
I
know you.
I have 3 kids. I better.
So what I like to do is sort of make a date with you in a month or 2 or 3, whenever you feel that it's time to take another look at this.
Okay.
And then you can come back and sit in this very chair and table and tell the people what's happened. What's happened since our first encounter, and tell them what you learned and what you didn't learn, and how you did, and all that stuff.
Sure, I would love that.
That'd be a great comparison,
we should do that.
before and after.
Before and after, right? Well, it might be a little bit longer till the after, but yeah.
But you have to promise me you'll still talk to me if you're a multimillionaire.
Who says I'm not already? I always will.
Thank you, Laurens.
I always will.